Good evening, everyone. Welcome to day 66. Before we get started, t-shirt. This morning, I just reached into the drawer because I feel like I'd been planning it too much. And I just grabbed the first shirt out of my t-shirt drawer that I could find, and not the t-shirt. It's the polyester tiger shirt. So it's kind of a t-shirt, but not really. So today was a letdown. Anyway, originally I thought today was going to be a calendaring day. And technically speaking, it was. But as often happens with me, I sat down intending to solve one problem and ended up investigating a completely different one. This morning, I sat down to work on next week's calendar, which also unfortunately includes tomorrow's calendar. Instead, I ended up trying to figure out what actually happened yesterday. And the more I looked at it, the more I realized something. Yesterday was not a failure day. It was compressed. There's a difference. If you watched yesterday, you know the whole outline. Working on notes kept me up really late Friday night. 3 a.m, I overslept. My spouse was ill, and my son and I had tickets to go see the finale of the Amazing Digital Circus. And wow, TADC on the big screen. Fantastic. Anyway, suddenly there simply wasn't enough day left to support the plans. But the more I looked at that sequence of events, the more I realized that the day itself hadn't actually fallen apart. Like I said, it compressed. A lot of optional things disappeared, but the important things survived. There was still an episode, a continuity episode, got recorded, was labeled and posted out. That means that the journal moved forward. I did not put the journal away and say, I'm not journaling today. The channel advanced. Honestly, that distinction becomes a lot more important than I originally expected, because once I stopped asking what went wrong, I started asking what remained and actually still fired off. And that is the question that sort of led into the rest of the day. So originally I thought I was building a calendar. And yeah, technically I was. But the deeper question became, what exactly is arrangement right now? I am starting to prepare to have a session of arrangement, maybe 2 or 3 during the week, where I'm learning how to arrange music, and that will also be part of my journal. And arrangement's been sitting in this sort of strange void for a while. It's not a future idea anymore. It's definitely the next thing I'm doing. And future ideas don't really keep you awake until 3 a.m. trying to put notes together. Though arrangement actually, ironically, is putting notes together. Deep. Actually, from an ADHD point of view, things that you're not working on can usually go up till 3 a.m. But, digression. Future ideas don't consume your scheduling time. And future ideas don't really create a workload or results. They don't force decisions to be made. And right now, the concept of musical arrangement is doing all of those things. So obviously it has kind of quietly eked over some kind of line. And the challenge is that it also isn't fully installed, activated, initialized. I'm not actively doing it yet. So anyway, so for a while I found myself trying to categorize how far along in the process, I hate using corporate terms, but onboarding, I guess, would be the term. How far along in that onboarding process is arrangement? Okay, has it launched? Is it going? No, not really. Is it theoretical? Am I contemplating whether or not I'm going to add it? No, definitely not. It's way past that. So I had to come up with an accurate description of where it currently is. And I guess the best term I came up with was pre-launch. It's not moving to the launch site. It's there. It's ready to go, but it hasn't gone. So I think pre-launch is the right term. It exists. It's active-ish. It is generating time that I have to pay attention to it, but it really hasn't entered the regular, God, I'm coming up with corporate terms again. All I can get is cadence. It hasn't gotten into rhythm yet. So that realization kind of took apart how I was thinking about the week ahead. Once I stopped trying to force everything into neat categories, I started remembering how I started with Be Prepared, my first piece. Back then, I didn't have any infrastructure, plans, designs. I just went in and sang every day. And there wasn't much process. I mean, initially I wasn't even journaling it. There wasn't no planning. It was simply exposure to the song, seeing how it was, playing around with it, and trying to improve. Pretty much through existence, I learned how to handle Be Prepared and how to better monitor it. Suddenly I realized I might be trying too hard to design arrangement before it has enough time actively to teach me anything useful like Be Prepared did. So that balancing act of trying without trying, reflects so often. That balancing act became one of, again, the big lessons of the day. Apparently it's the only thing I'm supposed to learn now is try without trying. But not everything needs to be fully designed and figured out before we start it. You get a catch-22. I need to start it to know what I'm tracking, but I need to know what I'm tracking to start it. No. So sometimes just the mere act of letting it go is where the requirements come from. With that, the calendar work slowly became less about figuring out dates and more about understanding how I was trying to wrap concepts around dates and weeks. That idea of it sort of is a progressive thing that monitors me and all of that, which is probably far too much, but it's the engineer in me. So I spent some time basically breaking apart the responsibilities. I spent time thinking about what it takes to recover. What is too far? Overflow? What happens when a day compresses? What lives and what dies? By the end of it, I had arrived at a week that starts tomorrow, goes through day 73, that honestly feels noticeably calmer than some of the earlier versions. Now, the calendar itself may not be the most important thing I built today. The bigger realization is understanding what that calendar is for. It's not there to predict reality, and it's not there to define reality. It is there to provide at least enough structure that the world can teach me, or reality can teach me, something useful when times arrive. And I think learning from the calendar rather than being owned by the calendar is much healthier in surviving life at this point. It's structure without requirement. And sure, I could just say, I'm not doing it today, yeah. But I am then accountable to myself. So it's interesting. One more little thing. I've been experimenting with videoing myself singing. This doesn't sound like it should be difficult, but it's tricky because the audio is going off my studio microphone. The video is coming from an iDevice, and when I use the iDevice to record me, the audio doesn't work. And I also have a reference track that I'm listening to. And the real problem is that I can't play the music that I'm going to put my vocals on while I'm recording, or I'll get echoes and all of that stuff. So it's pretty much I have to have all these different things and tape them together. And after that, you're done. Might try to sneak in a little bit of it right here just so you can see how the product sort of looks like. So prepared for the chance of a lifetime. Be prepared for sensational news. A shining new era is tiptoeing nearer.
And where do we feature?
Just listen to teacher. I know it sounds sordid, but you'll be rewarded when at last I am given my dues. And injustice deliciously squared. Be prepared.
Hey, did you hear that?
What's up?
He's talking about the lion, yeah, the dad and the cub.
I think I know.
All stuck together. Listening to it and watching it, it felt regressed. Now, I asked my spouse to watch it and give me a blunt evaluation. 21 years, I can depend on them for being blunt. They told me that I was not showing enough self-confidence, and that they could physically see me tensing up and keeping it in. So the days of car Drew and studio Drew may not necessarily be over yet. Yeah. Anyway, that's day 66. I guess tomorrow we get to find out what reality thinks of what I spent today doing. So until tomorrow, later.